Over the 4 months of the last America's Cup campaign, this architecturally stunning building sat proudly in the Viaduct Harbour in Auckland. The Carter Holt Harvey New Zealand Pavilion was home to a dynamic multimedia experience. Inside, a forest of aluminium poles and TV screens showed thousands of visitors from here and overseas some of New Zealand's most innovative business heroes. What you are about to see is just a small part of that experience, a showcase of everyday New Zealanders with a passionate desire to achieve their dreams. Great New Zealanders who get stuck in.
I believe that it's total fact that we could not have made Lord of the Rings anywhere else in the world other than New Zealand. And why is that?
I think New Zealanders have a strong tradition of being very independent and going out and making their mark in the world.
Hey, get off your butt and do something with your life. Do something more with your life than you've done.
Don't tell the boss you can't do the job. You get in and give it a go. And by the time he finds out that you've never done it before, you're doing it.
Being focused and hardworking and not taking no for an answer are actually quite good things. And you know, you don't get extraordinary results without putting in extraordinary efforts.
This is a century when companies are actually going to be built around ideas.
Well, our company philosophy is bugger the boxing, pour the concrete anyway, and you know, it's really about risk taking.
That moment of magic is when everybody in the team plays their part. When everybody in a team does what their job is to do, they coordinate it together and you have a stunning result.
Well, shall we start with Father, because Father started life as a dairy farmer and he was much happier tinkering.
Patented the first electric fence mechanism in February 1939.
We say we're #1 in the world with our agricultural fencing.
Why does one become innovative? In the case of myself, it was growing up in the countryside of New Zealand. A rural upbringing forced you to make your own fun, be innovative, create things with your hands. I used to dig the mud out of the creek at the back of the farm. I used to sculpt out of margarine.
My grandmother taught me how to make a circular skirt for Barbie, which was just a circle with another tiny little circle in the middle, which was pretty easy going.
I was really in love with pulling things apart and building things. I used to have Lego, Mechanos, train sets, clocks, and then I discovered computing when I was about 14 years old, so I used to write my own computer programs and very bad computer games.
And for me, there were 2 career choices. I didn't want to milk cows for the rest of my life, so I chose university and a career in science.
You find that sitting out of the mainstream, you don't know what you're not meant to be able to do. So you just have a crack at everything.
What attracted me about programming was it's actually a classic battle, man versus machine. It's that tussle that really makes, I think, programming quite invigorating.
I couldn't believe that 12-year-old hunking lads, when all the other lads were out playing rugby, could really not read. And I just found it so terrible. When I just got in the car, drove back over the harbour bridge and said, we've got to do it. We've got to make it happen. So when there's an opportunity, you've got to look at it, and that's what it was. Teach the world to read.
Well, the Magic Book is a unique technology that uses a real book to move people from the real world into an immersive virtual environment.
Mark Billinghurst, who was the best student I've ever had, is brilliant. He's absolutely the most creative person I've ever met, and I think is a world treasure.
You can fly inside that scene and become part of the scene. So, for example, a doctor could look at a textbook and he could see a beating virtual heart, but then, if he wanted to, he could fly inside that heart and experience it from the size of a blood corpuscle.
We're beginning to understand how we can grow more things better without the damage of fertilizers, pesticides and herbicides that we've seen through the last century. Farming practices need science.
Once we had a high-powered electric fencing, that made possible low-cost grassland farming, and that's what New Zealand's really good at. One of the things we learned, that if you're in the business of selling ashtrays, first of all you've got to teach people to smoke, and we virtually reformed the whole European market.
He's a down-to-earth Waikato businessman, but he heads a company that is a world leader.
Certainly #1 in the world with security fencing, but we've also got a tool now for the big animals, elephants, rhinos, giraffe, the big fella who's really difficult to contain with physical fence.
The marrying of great New Zealand authors, great New Zealand writers, educationalists, a concept and an idea and a dream. Teach the world to read.
Well, of course, Wendy Pye's the sort of person you never forget.
Teach the world to read.
I mean, I wrote the stories, but she was the person out there on the front line selling them.
And the British said, what have you done? You've sold the 3 Little Pigs back to Britain. And I said, yes, and you exported them on a sailing ship, and we've sold them back, so let's go to the pub. New Zealand has created millions and millions of readers.
I think programming today in the evolution scale is cave rock drawing. Jade is a programming language that is designed to make programming complex problems simpler. We confuse improvisation with innovation. Improvisation is making do with the minimum. Innovation is success through difference, seeing how to do something differently.
The art of innovation is to throw yourself at failure and miss.
If you're going to be a risk taker, the key is to make sure that you've got really good people around you. And it's not just about teamwork. It's actually about having people you can trust and people who will do things better than you can.
If you don't get fired for making a mistake, you get fired for not doing anything.
Whatever area that we're talking about creatively, I think that there is starting to be, a reputation, a murmuring, a benchmark of what New Zealand creativity is like.
I find the inspiration I get is more seeing what people are doing overseas and knowing that it isn't any better than what we are doing back here.
When they first told me that they were going to make a hit lab in New Zealand, I was very excited because I realised that New Zealand had this huge potential for creativity, and we had this amazing amount of technology that had already been developed here.
I always liken the Weta Workshop and Weta Digital to the TARDIS out of Doctor Who. You enter the door and in front of you is this massive environment. And Weta Digital at the moment is the biggest computing company in the Southern Hemisphere with the largest computing processing power in the world. Down here in the backwaters of Miramar, Wellington, New Zealand, at the edge of the universe.
And this is great. New Zealand has this. New Zealand has the capability to build industries in New Zealand from creative thinkers.
And there's a freshness, I believe, in New Zealand that I don't see in other places. And certainly the students are among the best I've ever seen in the world.
The one thing about New Zealand is the classrooms are very noisy, but there's a lot of learning going on.
Sort of can-do attitude, a very independent nature that allowed people to thrive.
Most creative people in New Zealand can't help but be inspired by our sense of isolation and also by the incredible opposites we get here in our climate and our landscape.
And I think the other thing about New Zealand that you learn when you travel a lot is that we don't appreciate it. I think you have to travel and see what the rest of the world is like to come back and realise that your decision to stay here is the right one.
Here in New Zealand, we have as much chance as anybody else of major discovery.
And Jim could have chosen to start a company basically anywhere on the planet, but he chose to do it back here in New Zealand.
I mean, Christchurch is an unusual place, some would think, to run this sort of a business from, but this is a staff-based business. And it's easy to attract staff here.
So hiring people is important, but hiring the right people is actually the key to building the business.
It's the people that make the business. It's not the business makes the people.
I have no desire to work anywhere else in the world. We've seen a lot of the world now, and there's definitely a home for us right here in Wellington, New Zealand. The fact that together as a group we feel that we can brand our mark onto the world. We can do it from this corner of our own piece of paradise.